Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Classified figure, I
welcome
think.
to TFYLP, episode 467. We're live tonight. I don't know, whatever, January 31st, I think, something like that. We've got Rick.
Forever Destron.
We've got Peter.
Forever Death Stronger.
and we've got Paul.
Premium finish.
And I'm Lucas. So we got the comments from the chat already going strong here.
Oh yeah, what are they saying?
What's Zeldron say?
So Zeldron was saying that is wondering if I was still grieving the Chiefs, which obviously who wouldn't be. And Ron says, "Hey, can I get a Lucas? Can I get a who day?" So I appreciate that, Ron. Thank you so much for just getting that in there. So yeah, it was lots of fun. So I've decided now to stop being a football fan and just devote my entire time to Transformers. So
Hey, that's what I do, man.
Instead of your family, that's fine.
Hey,
yeah, or family.
It doesn't matter.
Is the show over?
You know.
Is the show over? Because Zaldron is already telling us what book club is.
No,
he always starts and ends. He
yeah.
bookends the show. He bookends the show with book club.
I see.
Yep.
Cool.
So anyway, so tonight we're gonna do a little animated retrospective on it. So Derek Wyatt passed. It's been a little while now.
About a month and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to kind of give it a little bit of time there before we kind of gave our thoughts and whatnot on Transformers Animated. So yeah. Anyway,
It was okay.
there we go. That's the show.
Animated was the greatest G1 reinvention to ever exist.
I will agree.
And I would love for Animated to come back in Transformers Reanimated. Because we did Regeneration 1. So, Reanimated.
Question, Rick. If you that was kind of a qualifying statement. The best G1 reimagination, right? What series hasn't been a G1 reimagination?
You said the best one.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, well, then are there any that aren't G1 reimaginations?
Beast Wars, Beast Machines.
But that's still G1.
It's continuation of.
That's the same story.
Yeah, okay.
Armada.
I'd say still Optimus Prime and Megatron.
Does the Bavers count or?
I would say it does. I don't know. I hear people say, just the way you qualified that made me wonder, like what isn't a G1 reimagination?
Okay,
I don't think there really is one.
It took stories that existed in G1 and reinterpret them in a new way. Dinobot Island, for example. Beast Wars. Alita 1. You look at Armada, Cyberverse, you can say, oh, yeah, they're, to your point, everything's a G1 reinvention because everything has the top tier characters in it, right?
And it's Autobots, Decepticons, Cybertron, all
right.
all the stuff, all the hits.
But animated directly retold or attempted to retell stories that we were familiar with in an updated. If they were to make G1 today, how would it be done? How would that story be told?
Netflix.
That's what animated did.
I think animated did a great job of like flipping the script in a lot of ways too, though. You know, it wasn't just a straight retelling. You know, it's not like Siege or War for Cybertron where it was like straight up, oh, that's what they did back then. Let's do that again with CG or something. Like they took care to make things different in a way that made you go, huh, never thought of it like that. Like Optimus Prime, not the big leader, not the bestest dude ever, you know? That was
little
cool.
little homages, like the way Ultra Magnus was portrayed as Robert Stack, right? Sludge being the logo for an oil company.
Mhm.
Little things like that. The G1 Wreck-gar bike showing up. You know, when Wreck-gar is throwing things at somebody, he actually throws the G1 version of himself at somebody.
I like speaking of those Easter eggs. One I remember that jumped out at me right away was all the Pretender monsters, like turned into those like mutants or whatever, like pieces of them. That's kind of cool.
Yep. And then animated also introduced us to brand new things. Sumdac. Sumdac Tower. Lugnut. Colossus Rhodes. Right? Slow-mo. It had a great bunch of human villains. Which, if you look at G1, yeah, there were human villains in G1. Right?
And we all
Animated-
love humans with our Transformers. So
They can be done well and they can be done poorly. And animated took care to do them. They were campy and silly, a lot of them, but they were fun and engaging.
no, absolutely.
Yeah, some of the things that were what was great about animated is that they seeded things throughout the show that would pay off later on. The Constructicons. You start off with 2, then you get a third one, and then you were supposed to get a fourth, and Bulkhead was supposed to be the 5th. Stuff like the Allspark breaking up and all those little shards being put together into a container that, voila, there's the Matrix of Leadership. There's where it comes from. Giving us stuff that, like Judd Nelson returning to the Transformers franchise as Rodimus Prime. Making Prime a significant title, like the way it is portrayed in the comic books, where it's a title. Animated had its own spin on it. There was the title of Magnus, and then there was the title of Prime, and you can think of like General and Captain. And that's how they were portrayed in animated.
I think too some of the new characters, Lockdown, I think was the first time that he made an appearance, right?
Yeah, Lockdown, Bulkhead.
Oil Slick. Yep.
Bulkhead. Yeah, and Bulkhead's
Oil
really,
Slick.
Yeah.
Stuff like Yoketron, based off of Yoke-san, who is the Transformers spiritual sensei, who had helped develop every single Transformer that had ever existed up until, I think, 2012. You think about all the great things that came from animated that we still carry on to this day. Bulkhead is probably the biggest one. He was in Transformers Prime. He's going to be in the new a new G1S Legacy Chug versions coming out. Lugnut, Cyberverse. Everybody loves Lugnut, or I like to call him Blinken.
Slipstream.
Lockdown was in the film. Slipstream. Right?
I remember being blown away. I was like, wait a minute. Lockdown. They just made that guy. He's the villain in this movie? What is going on? And he looked so cool. He looked like finally like a real Transformer, like on screen. It was awesome.
And having I guess it wasn't the Ark, but the ship the Autobots are in turned into Omega Supreme. That was great.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert for a show that ended, 10 years ago. Headmasters. We got Headmasters in it. Yeah.
Oh, right.
We got Headmasters and we got Noob. If anything came from animated, it was the word noob, which I now use in my daily vocabulary.
Was that the first? It had to have been used.
It was used way before that.
Yeah,
we were using it on FPSs back in the early 2000s, late 90s on playing Quake and stuff.
Yeah, but not in Transformers.
Not in Transformers,
no. Oil Slick. Yeah, somebody mentioned Oil Slick before. It gave us Team Char. Char, I mean, that's kind of like, that's an obscure reference. If you don't know, I mean, that's a season 3. That's a deep cut, I think. That's a deep cut.
It's a deep enough cut to where the veterans will all be like, oh, ooh, they said Char. And other people will be like, what?
Yeah. We got Slapper. And Strika came back. We got Red Alert, which was which gender reversal and
animated
had Armada tie-ins.
I'm sorry, yeah, Armada. I'm mixing my A's. Sorry, guys, set me on fire.
Hotshot came back.
Yeah, and this was the first time we had Hot Rod, Hotshot, and Bumblebee in the same universe.
Speaking of Bumblebee, we had Wasp, which started off as a Bumblebee, scout character. And again, there's that evolution. Wasp became Waspinator. Nobody saw it coming.
Especially because of the toy.
Yeah, nobody saw it coming. There was a Wasp toy planned. Never came out. There was a lot of missed opportunities with animated, toy-wise, though.
I mean, I think the line that we got was pretty darn good, though. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so Derek Wyatt worked with Eric Siebenaler to make sure that the animation scene in the show was feasible from the toys, which they were very close. They had a very good relationship. And there were some toys that we never got, such as a Devastator. So the idea for season 4 animated, we had who were the two Constructicons we got first? It was Scavenger and Scrapper?
Sure.
And then we got, who was the little guy? Boss?
Oil Master, what?
No, not Oil Master.
Dirt Boss.
Dirt Boss. Right, so we got Dirt Boss, who obviously was going to be the head of Devastator. There was going to be another guy who I think was going to be Mixmaster. And then Bulkhead. Turns out, not only was he a space bridge genius, he was also a Constructicon, which is why he was green. So he was going to be the pants of Devastator. And we never got that figure because the line ended. We never got Omega Supreme because that line ended. We can talk later about why the line ended. Never got a slipstream from animated. Is there anybody else that was in the show that we didn't get? We got Blur. We had John Machida come back as Blur, which is crazy. Corey Burton coming back as Shockwave, and
Megatron. Yep.
And well, he played Megatron. He came back as Shockwave and Spike.
We had David Kane in there as well.
As Optimus.
David Kaye, only actor to play both roles. Although Neil Kaplan did play Megatron in one episode of RID because the voice actor for Megatron was sick or something. But that doesn't count. It was one episode. We never got an Elita 1 toy. Although I can't say that we would have gotten one for sure. We never got an Earth version of Ironhide, which was supposed to be. So at the end of season 3, our team, Prowl dies. And a new team was, we needed someone to substitute that new team. So in season 4 was going to be Bulkhead, but he was going to be slimmer and fitter. So he got redesigned for season 4. He was more muscular, more trim. Bumblebee, Ratchet. No, Ratchet stayed on Cybertron. So it was going to be Jazz, Ironhide, and Optimus. And we actually designed, we actually did design the animation model for Ironhide, for the Earth mode Ironhide, which was heavily inspired by the films because he had the arm cannons. And he had the G1 windshield over his face.
Yeah, for those of you that were not around at this time, this was like the first new series following the release of Transformers the movie.
Yeah, and that was part of, you could say, why it wasn't successful. So internally, we believe that kids wanted to play, they wanted to age up. So if you were 7, you wanted to be a 10-year-old. You wanted to play with what a 10-year-old was playing. If you were a 10-year-old, you wanted to be what a 14-year-old was playing. If you were a 14-year-old, you wanted to play with yourself. So you had 2 very distinct looking brands. Animated, you could say, looked like a baby brand. Let's be honest. You could say it looked like a baby brand because it was on the shelf next to Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah.
Right? So when you have Revenge of the Fallen and you have commercials for a live action movie, which is super violent, and then you have Transformers Animated, which looks like Teen Titans-ish, kids want to play with what they think is the non-baby stuff. And that was
a lot of the animation at that time was a similar style. Like a lot of them looked like that.
Yes, and how successful were their toy brands? Right? Especially when you have 2 competing brands, Revenge of the Fallen and Animated next to each other in the same on the same shelf, in the same aisle, next to each other, both say Transformers, but one, the colors are very real world. The other one, the colors are, you can say like very flat looking, right? And the design, the artwork, it's all very different. The logo is completely different. So that was part of, I don't want to say Animated's failure retail-wise, but part of its struggle retail-wise, competing with Revenge of the Fallen, which was also such a vast line. There were so many different footprints that Revenge of the Fallen had. Fast action battlers,
robot replicas,
Yeah,
Real-
robot replicas,
Real gear stuff.
real gear, the gravity bots,
The robot heroes. They had the
robot
little,
heroes, deluxe Voyager, leader, um,
the big
a lot,
chunky electronic guys.
yeah, a lot of different things compared to animated.
But I feel
And
like
then-
that's the thing that they're trying to, I feel like, do now is rather than having completely different designs for the movie and the cartoons and all that type of thing, that they at least try to make somewhat of evergreen designs. And I'm really going to be curious with the new movie coming out in 2023 if they do try to stay closer to the G1 quote unquote design, or if they're gonna just let Michael Bay just have it where it's still completely different than what G1 or whatever the various cartoons, Cyberverse, or whatever the new cartoon's gonna be at the time.
Well, I mean, I would imagine it'll be in the same design profile as the Bumblebee movie was. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense because, like, if at least if it's reminiscent of what, and I guess Bumblebee is not necessarily bad, but I know a lot of the other characters. It's like there's no way that you could say, oh, the movie character, that you could even pick what the name is compared to the G1 version or other versions in other media.
So, besides the look of the toys, the final nail in the coffin for the show and for the toy line, because there were some toys that were released in Japan which were supposed to be released over here, along with a slew of repaints, was the hub. The hub came along, and we needed a new Transformers series because Cartoon Network had co-developed Transformers Animated, so that they had the rights to it. So that couldn't be brought over to the hub with new episodes. So that show had to end. And it ended very quickly, but there was enough time where it could wrap up. But, some of the things we talked about were planned for season 4. Megatron was going to be in prison, and I think it was Kaon. And he was going to have the Beast Machine's Megatron helmet, where he had he had the Bane mask over his face. Now he talked like this, yes. And he was going to launch Kaon out into space, and Kaon was going to land outside of Chicago, right in the Great Lake. Boom. So you had this piece of Cybertron land in the Great Lake. Sorry was a teenager now. You had your new Autobot team. And then not Ultra Magnus, but Sentinel Prime was kind of going to be coerced to help Megatron escape, and he was going to go down a darker path. So
Optimus could beat the shit out of him eventually.
He was going to have his redeeming moment where he was going to come back.
But Optimus would still finally get to beat the shit out of him, because that's what we wanted.
Maybe. Maybe. So, I mean, there were so many great toys planned. There was the Hydro Dive Bumblebee that came out in Japan. That was planned for the U.S. as well. The Flying Optimus, I don't remember what that was called. Peter? Wingblade Optimus.
Yeah.
And what was the Blackout.
Blackout.
And Blackout, yes. So
BotCon 2010, all the animated stuff dropped right then, and I remember just tables and tables and tables of Japanese animated stuff, and people losing their shit over Blackout and the Wingblade Optimus. And the paint was so much, this is before brand unification, so the paint was really shiny and sparkly and pretty.
and we got sued at Hasbro from the studio over Blackout. They said he was too close, and that we had to retroactively pay them royalties. So, yep. So that happened.
Not a lot of people maybe know this unless you were living it. It's like the Japanese animated release was really strange. Like all the toys had these weird redecos that were shiny, like Peter was saying, but it wasn't like all the paint was shiny. It'd be like just the elbow would be shiny, or the thigh, or this one strip of paint. It wasn't consistent. It was very hit or miss with the deco, and a lot of people didn't like it.
The glittery metallic effect was only in some places, but the whole figure, they were pretty different. It was like they were all darker.
Yeah, they were not the same toy, just with a few paint app differences. They were completely different, but it was just there were some weird choices made on the Japanese side, and they released a lot of them in 2-packs instead of individually at first.
Yeah, I think they were going kind of for that like Beast Wars feel, where they did the versus pack, and then they did the individual pack. I mean, here stateside, we were supposed to get a ton of repaints too. There was a Swindle repaint, a Blur, Thundercracker, the White Soundwave. I
have that one somewhere.
Yeah, I got
a few of those escaped. Yeah,
I might have a box full of those. There was a whole bunch, and there was a few figures that got to the prototyping stage, the hand carved stage, that triple changing Megatron from season 4, and Hot Shot, and there was another one too. I forget who. So,
but Oil Slick made it.
Oil Slick made it.
Thank goodness. We all needed Oil Slick.
Oil Slick made it. Oil Slick made the pitch for Transformers 4.
Oil Slick was getting a redeco as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oil Slick made the pitch for Transformers 4, and he made the pitch for the Pirates concept for Transformers Prime Season 4.
So that's one thing. Fit there.
Yeah, that's one thing from animated that, carried forward besides Bulkhead. Sumdac Tower. Sorry, Sumdac and her dad. Is it Isaac Sumdac? What was his name?
That sounds right.
Maybe. So in Transformers Prime, we had a villain called Silas. And for the longest time, we were all pushing for him to be Silas Sumdac. Just to tie the name back, not make them, different universes, not related in any way. And the studio they didn't understand the reference. They didn't want our show to reference another show.
Weird.
Even though it's Transformers and everything references another show.
Right.
So.
You'd think you'd want to kind of pull everything together, but.
Creators you tell them it's from another show, and they're not interested. They're like, "Oh, this is from another show." It's like fighting tooth and nails just to get those references in there, just to put the techno babble into episodes, because they want to make their own thing. But yeah, it's still part of the identity of the brand to have these other things, which came from other iterations, which are beloved by fans. But Derek Wyatt, I got a Derek Wyatt story. So this was the first time I met Derek. One of the first times I met him was it was a BotCon, and we were riding the the shuttle together back to the airport after the show had ended, and we were talking about Shattered Glass, because I think this was the year that Shattered Glass first came out, right? And he was a guest at BotCon, and we were talking about he really liked the idea of evil Autobots and good Decepticons. He's like, I gotta get that into season 4. I gotta get that into season 4. I'm like, so the whole shuttle ride back, we were just throwing ideas back and forth about, you know, how does it happen? Is it an alternate universe? Does someone set off like a time bomb or something? Or, you know, what is the event that leads to, you know, things getting switched around? And we talked about, you know, Sari's the one, she knows the universe is wrong. Maybe she has to fix it. So he was really into Shattered Glass, and I felt good that something that was created on the side, outside of his show, got him so excited that he had to put it in his show. You know, another thing for season 4 that never made it, though. And Derek did help ultimately a few years later design the heads for the BotCon exclusive figures for the Stunticon team and the other guys as well.
That's cool. The only thing that's a little frustrating on the Stunticon team is they didn't transform. Or, I'm sorry, they didn't combine. I mean...
That was kind of in the infancy of third party, too. Like, when they were all still, like... Everything was hippy-dippy cool. And I remember someone was going to make a combiner kit, and then it never happened.
Yeah, it was still the garage kits phase.
Yeah.
So, yeah, somebody... I remember who... had designed out components that would allow them to combine together into a robot, into Menasor. But it didn't happen. And I think it was okay for the story because that stuff didn't exist in animated just yet. Mm-hmm. Right? Because Devastator hadn't happened yet. So the idea of Menasor, you didn't necessarily need them.
So Peter, do you have any Derek Wyatt stories yourself, or did you ever have a chance to meet him at any BotCons?
This all predates my willingness to talk to anyone ever anywhere. So no, I just went off camera. That's where I've been the last couple of minutes looking for my almanacs, my fanzines, and whatnot. Didn't find them. I found my animated manga book, but that was it. I have some fanzines somewhere that are season 4-ish.
Man, that BotCon set, we went through so many changes. There were so many ideas for what that animated set could be. We at one point, a guy named Joe Moore, a friend of mine, he had mocked up so many different figures. We had mocked up Sky Gary from Megatron. I think we were trying to cut deep because nothing really seemed to fit with the molds that were available. I remember Sky Gary was like the one that stuck out the most to me. And then it was Brian Savage who said, "Hey, we need a set. We need like all these guys to like be a team of some kind." And I think it was Lanny Latham who said they need to be. Is there like one of them combiner teams that you know we could do, right? And I think that's where the Stunticons came from.
Which at the time, they'd always made the sets like really non-homogeneous. So it was kind of like amazing that this set was one group of dudes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the closest you got was like the Beast Wars set before,
Beast Wars set,
but it still had Dinobot in it from you know. But yeah, that was the thing, because Brian didn't really have a whole lot of confidence in animated. And so making them set made it okay in his mind to take the chance and do it. We had talked about doing the 3 unreleased figures in the U.S. as like club exclusives, and royalty wise it didn't work out. Hasbro didn't want him to do them because Hasbro still said, well, there's money to be made off those, so maybe we'll put them out.
What a bad decision.
I know there was a lot of figures that didn't make the subscription figures too, because Hasbro said, well, there's money for us to make off that, but they never came out. The one that really pissed me off was Blue Streak out of that prowl mode for the original Chug, which is why I think the club ended up doing that combiner Blue Streak. Yeah, Hasbro at one point said, you know what if we took season 3, split it up, and packaged it with, those 3 figures. So that almost came to be, tried to sell them to Amazon, didn't work out. The club wasn't allowed to use them.
Dumb. Just dumb decisions.
And then by the time that we had an opening, it was like, animated was like 3 years ago. Nobody cares. We're beyond that.
Right.
We're moving past that.
I mean, I think there is some logic there, like you need to wait for like an anniversary or something for it almost to be nostalgic before you do that kind of thing.
15 years next year, right? Since they just skipped 10 for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel like a little bit that the animated kind of gets lost in the shuffle, just because I know Prime was pretty, beloved, and it still continues. It like had a pretty good run on Netflix and a lot of the other shows, and so I feel like the animated, that's the other thing too, is that because of, like you said, Rick, about the rights. I don't know if that was the reason why or whatnot, but it it's not as as prevalent on the streaming services as some of the other shows.
Right. So that's again because of the rights. So it's kind of falls into that RID category where you're never going to see it again on TV or on a streaming service. So the chances of us ever seeing another animated TV show, I think, is done. And unfortunately,
it's just because you have to work with someone else to get it done, and then you have to share profits, or they get paid over and over.
Yeah, but I think just continuing animated is like a non-starter. Trying to do a show like animated again, to me, people at the big H would just say, well, that's Cyberverse.
Yeah.
So I just don't think animated works the same way in a comic form. So I kind of think animated is
its own thing, and it works as an animated series only. You couldn't effectively like showcase the literal animation, how like people were. Bumper Robinson's characterization of Bumblebee was animated, it was Jeff Bennett's characterization of Bulkhead was animated. Everyone like had these like motions and movements and things. They were really, really, really active on screen. It's hard to capture that in a comic without like making everyone look like like a swirly mess. And it worked.
Tasmanian Devil.
Like Tasmanian Devil, yeah.
Right.
It worked on screen.
Bumper Robinson. He was the little kid in Enemy Mine. A classic sci-fi movie.
Classic sci-fi movie with Dennis Quaid, who was General Hawk, and Lou
Yep.
Gossett Jr.
Yep. Paul, you've seen Enemy Mine. Surely you've seen Enemy Mine. You
Nope.
son of a bitch.
Come on.
Only thing I've seen is this Osport Almanac I'm living through while you're talking. It's like I'm literally turning to a page and I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about right now. Holy shit.
How did that come to be? Do we know what the backstory on that is?
Slightly. I don't want to get too into it because I may say something that's incorrect, but Jim Sorensen and Paul, help me out. You got the book in front of you. Who's the other guy?
Bill
Forster.
Bill Forster. I don't know why I was blanking. Two great guys. They started putting together the Osport Almanac. I don't think they had much input from Derek on it. I think they took the liberty of writing things themselves. Because there was, I think it was the Osport Almanac. We almost got sued at Hasbro for something. Oh, I think there was a planet map, like a star chart, and there's a bunch of planets in there that are named after Conan the Barbarian characters. And so whoever owns Conan came after Hasbro at IDW. And it was a big issue. And then I remember telling Jim Sorensen about it. It's like, hey, remember that, when we got like all this like legal stuff? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you remember all the Conan stuff? And he's like, yeah. Like, nobody ever told you what happened with that? He's like, no. So, yeah, I think that was the Osport Almanac. Anywho,
I'll look for a star map quick.
That might be in the one that's the expanded one, which is 2 books together. Yeah, so that's one example of animated publishing that went really, really well. The Osport Almanac was basically like a Generations book with every little detail from the show put into it. Complete comprehensive guide is like the art of animated, but it also explained the culture and the nuances and a lot of the Easter eggs, and then it built on those things and gave you even more. So if you like animated, get the Osport Almanacs.
Now, was that Jim's first book for Transformers?
Gosh, I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I thought there was something else.
Yeah.
But Jim Sorensen will be at TFCon along with everybody else who's ever worked on Transformers. Coming up in March.
Jim's a good guy. I know we had him on for an interview. Gosh, it's been a while when his last book came out.
Yeah, Jim's super nice. Although he wouldn't let me room with him at TFCon. I said, well, what if I just sleep on top of you? And we don't have to get another bunk or anything. He's like, no, my wife won't like that. Like, all right, well.
I can imagine.
So, yeah. Animated, great toy line.
If it were to continue, what would be the first thing you want to see released for the animated toy line?
Ooh, if like a straight legit continuation of the toy line.
Fantasy straight continuation of animated.
Continuation of the toy line. Man, I gotta have that Omega Supreme.
That's the one.
I gotta have that Omega Supreme. I'm so disappointed that third-party guys really didn't pick up on animated.
There was a guy, I think it was marksprojects.com, and he was making custom animated Supreme ships, and I'm sorry, Omega Supreme animated ships.
Yeah.
But it was like $800 a pop, but they transformed and everything. They looked really good.
Yeah, they had a lot of detail. I think they had LEDs in them and everything. And he made some lug nuts as well.
Sure did.
I mean, is there any way we could get a Titan of that? I mean, I realize we already got a G1 Omega Supreme, but
I feel like that's the
and we
closest
got a G1
you're
Arc.
gonna get.
I mean, we are getting a Cybertron Metroplex.
Yeah, I
Right.
guess nothing's off the table.
So anything is possible.
This is right next to my Osport Almanacs and my big pile of books down here.
That was another lifetime ago. I was a teenager.
Who's that dog?
That's
Who's that
Philo.
dog?
That's Fido. He died in my arms. Anyway, Peter, same question. Omega Supreme, I'm guessing.
Omega Supreme.
Yeah, Omega Supreme. Okay, non-Omega Supreme. Who would it be?
Lugnut Supreme.
Well, that's the clear choice for a retool. I'd like to see. I mean, can I just say all of the rest of Team Char?
Yeah, Striker would be cool.
Yeah.
I kind of want the humans.
Wasn't
Well,
there a
Impossible
third
Toys-
party?
yeah, Impossible Toys did
did
some-
those.
Some really rough ones.
Yeah, they were shitty though. They were pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Impossible Toys did some good stuff, and then they did those.
Yeah.
I swear I remember somebody was like giving those away. Might have been Orson that had a bucket of them or something. Like I don't
And
even remember.
couldn't even
but-
sell them. He couldn't even
Like-
give them away.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm reminded of one of the human characters. So Slow-Mo. Anybody know where Slow-Mo came from? So at Hasbro, you had your first initial, and then like you had the first letter of your first name, and then like the first three letters of your last name put together, and that was your email, right? So Samantha Lomo, who's now, you know, very high up, who I think is probably going to be a CEO one day at Hasbro. She was VP of the Transformers brand at the time. So her email was slowmo at hasbro.com. And that's where Slow-Mo came from. It's Samantha Lomo. And we know Angry Archer was Aaron Archer, who said, oh, he's got to have a robot hand. And that's why the Angry Archer has a robot hand. Yeah.
So
There's
was there
great humans.
Was there a Rick?
There was no Rick. There was the Cybernailer was potentially for season 4, which was Eric Siebenailer. Mm-hmm. But we had the face drawn up for the Cybernailer. Colossus Rhodes, I had pitched as part of Rescue Bots, as being one of the villains that fights the Rescue Bots. Colossus Rhodes was a pro wrestler in Transformers Animated. And I just liked the idea so much. I'm like, oh, he's got to fight the Transformers again. He's got to come back. But he never made it into Rescue Bots.
Hydra was there.
Yeah, a couple fans made some appearances.
Yep.
Vangelis, Hydra, a couple other guys. There were some deep cuts in Transformers Animated. God, just so many great episodes in Transformers Animated. Just like the part where Weird Al Yankovic plays Wreck-gar, and he says, and Ratchet says, "What are you, stupid?" And Wreck-gar says, "I dare to be stupid."
Which, for those of you who don't know, is the song that was playing when the Autobots and Junkions made Nice in Transformers the movie. So It was a nice cyclical,
And that was written by Weird Al Yankovic as well.
I dare to be stupid.
He was also at BotCon that year too. I think because of his appearance in animated.
And he did his Optimus Prime impression, but it was just the Wreck-gar voice saying, "Hi, I'm Optimus Prime." I love the fact that they called Slag Snarl. That was before the name Slug came around. They called him Snarl, and she's like, "You called him Snarl?" "Yeah, I was going to call him Slag, but he got offended." Like, kids don't know that. Kids don't understand, right? And then, like, something bad happens, and then Sorry goes, "Oh, Slag." And it cuts right to commercial. Like, kids don't know. Kids are stupid. Kids don't know. I mean, I have kids.
So, Rick, like,
kids don't know anything.
When you keep talking about season 4 and what was planned for that, was there an alternate ending planned compared to what we actually got in season 3?
I don't think so. I think it was in development when word came out, so it just had to be wrapped up in a way that just like left it open, but at the same time wrapped it all up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hell, we got Grandis in Transformers animated.
Yes, we did.
That would have been a fun toy.
Yeah. I love that Trax had his little glasses, right? Power Glide was a tank because no Autobots could fly. I always thought that was weird that Autobots couldn't fly. I don't know where that came from.
It's kind of dumb.
Galvatron said it. It was a line in Return of Optimus Prime Part 2. He just straight up said Autobots can't fly and started laughing. So maybe someone was watching that since it was more readily available on video cassette at that point during development of the series. I don't know.
Yeah, because everyone was watching video cassettes.
You know me.
Wait, Peter was.
Yeah. So that was Transformers animated. Paul, were you someone who appreciated animated in its day, or did you not care? I mean, I know you.
I certainly did. I loved it. I thought it was great, and I have seen some treasures that I was not meant to see, like I have been in the presence of the Thundercracker toy, as well as the American Blackout, which most people say doesn't exist, and I laugh at them because I'm like, it certainly does, because I have seen it, and it is not the Japanese one. It's paint decos. It's the same thing as it's the American version of what the Japanese one was.
I can honestly tell you I've never seen, because I have all the unreleased ones, but I don't have the Blackout. I would
have to dig.
I don't know. I might have to call Boulder Dash shenanigans on that.
I think you're the one that doesn't believe me, because how could little old me know something you don't? But I am. Well, I mean, I was there.
I was there working on the brand when it,
Let's say Rick would have.
I have
certainly.
We have the package samples of the Hydra Dive Bumblebee and the Wingblade Optimus. It could just be a Takara factory sample that you saw.
It could be, but it would be strange to have it be so different.
I don't know.
Anyway, so yeah, I liked animated. I thought it was cool, and it was sad that it ended. But I just loved the ongoing stories that they had going on throughout the whole show, like especially the RC, Ratchet story line that they wove into the end.
Yeah,
I loved when Shockwave finally turned purple. There's like so many moments in animated that were just like they were big moments. Like when Megatron finally gets his body back, and like there's a string of like 5 minutes that's like at the moment was like the best Transformers storytelling of ever. Like when
Rise
he comes
up.
Yeah, Megatron comes back, he nails Starscream, he tells the Decepticons to rise up, and he said, and Optimus Prime, he's like, "Who are you?" to Optimus Prime. I mean, it's like all in one little chunk. It's amazing. It's very, very good, and that's one of my favorite Transformer moments, is that section of animated.
That's one of the best Decepticon moments in any Transformers fiction period. It's one of those. It's like, like Decepticons Forever with Ravage and Beast Wars, where it's like, oh shit, the bad guys are gonna win now, and it's just like, yay. Rick, you're getting some questions in the chat.
Oh, okay. I'm 6'1". 299 pounds. What other questions are there?
They're asking
size
Osmosis,
12 wide.
Okay. Osmosis Dark Hell David wants to know, do you have prototypes of any of the animated toys?
Like, which,
I don't know. That's the question.
I mean, prototypes is casting a wide net. Some of the repaints that didn't get released, yes. Yeah.
And what else? What if Transformers animated episode where Prime and team goes to find Shockwave and the Driller from Dark of the Moon? I guess that's just a what if gee whiz. Wouldn't it be cool if they had Shockwave had a driller like he did in the third movie?
Okay. Yeah, I could see a cool animated version. Basically, you can take anything from any part of Transformers and make it animated style.
You can
have it work.
Yep.
And have it be cool. The only thing that I don't know if it would work is, we were talking about this when Matt Reinhardt was on the show. I said I wanted a No Way Home event where like G1 Optimus cartoon shows up, and then like animated cartoon Optimus shows up, and it's David K. And then like Optimus Primal shows up, and it's Scary Chuck. And then like Cyberverse Primal's heading towards the portal, but then they close the portal real quick. And they say, no, not that guy.
So, Rick, do you have a favorite animated episode or story arc?
Oh, man. Yeah, I love that episode where, like, Sorry puts together the team of, I think it's Scavenger, Snarl, Wreck-gar. And then the last episode is great. The very last episode is awesome. Lucas, same question.
Which episode is story arc is my favorite from animated? That's your question for me?
Sure.
Boy, it's been a while since I've watched animated. I mean, I remember at the time that it was a lot different than, all the other media that we're getting at the time, and I really appreciate it. But I have not had a chance to recently go back and watch it myself, so I'm not sure which one.
Okay.
I would choose.
So Paul did share the image of the blackout with me. So I can honestly tell you I've never seen it. So I would probably say it's the rarest of the rare ones.
I sent you another link. I mean, you can see this is the Japanese version compared to this one.
Sure.
And you bring up like maybe it's a Takara sample. That is possible. This could just be a pre-Takara sample, but it does have like different markings on it and stuff that lead me to believe it's a US version.
Yeah, I think now that I remember it, that might have been in the Osport Almanac. But I never handled it. I never saw it around at the office, and
well, this came
was
with
definitely no package samples.
Yeah, this came loose too. This came from nefarious sources back in 2009 or whatever, and it came along with a Thundercracker. So these were factory assembled samples.
Yeah, I have the Thundercracker.
There was another part of animated that the other like holy shit moment for me was when Shockwave turned purple and kneeled in front of Megatron, and like if you knew stuff, you knew like, oh, he's like that's the voice actor talking to himself, but he suddenly changed into Shockwave voice from Long Arm, and it just like felt so good. It was and then at the same time they I think we knew it was coming. There was that 2-pack, the purple Long Arm packaged as Shockwave that was coming out, and it was just so satisfying to see that happen on screen because it happened like at the end of an episode, and it was.
I think that 2-pack came out first.
It
did
Because I remember being surprised that he turned purple. That's cool.
Yeah, like you thought it was going to be a toy only thing, like. Oh God! Yeah, I wish he would just do that, and then he does, because he's like, fuck it, I'm a Decepticon, and I don't care who knows.
Let
the gig
me
is
serve
up.
You under my true colors.
Yeah, because like at this point, the Decepticons are like so confident they're gonna win that like he doesn't even care anymore. And another thing that was funny about that is like Lugnut's in the background like flipping out because Shockwave is clearly, above him on the pecking order without even having to try because he's so good. And I just loved it. And they both only have one eye, so they kind of like, totally hate each other. Although I guess you could say Lugnut had 5 eyes, right? He had like the 2 on the side and the big one, debatably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I think of animated, those are the things I think of. It was so... like those memories, the way I felt when I saw those things, it was so cool. And that whole scene with Starscream getting killed 1,000 times in a row, that was really funny and cool.
I remember, when Cyclonus showed up, thinking, oh, crap. Because I remember I saw that episode, like, I don't know, months before it aired. And, like we were having a meeting, and then like Steve Drucker comes in, he's like, hey guys, I want to show something to you, and he plays the episode, and I just am like, oh my god, Cyclonus. Like I had no idea any of those characters were in the show, and it just like I remember thinking, man, Cyclonus, one of my favorite dudes, and he's a badass.
Yeah, that was how they opened season 3, right?
Yeah.
Team Char, yeah.
It was such a tease because you're like, oh wow, all these characters are coming,
and then you never see. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they were supposed to be in season 4. Yeah, they were supposed to be season 4.
Well, that's still rude. Like a whole season between the two. But yeah, Cyclonus looks so cool because he's like they made him extra dark. Like his skin is like gunmetal instead of light gray. He was freaky.
Yep. There's some good characters in there. Yeah, man. Oil Slick and Slapper and Striker, Blackout. What a team, man.
Do you guys have a favorite toy from the toy line?
Wreck-gar.
I think I like the Optimus. Like the Voyager Optimus was like the Voyager one was like one of the best Optimus is at the time. It has the weird, it has to pose sort of weird, but like it can still pull off a ton of cool things. And I guess I would say like the Elite Guard version of it is kind of the weirdest one and the coolest, just because it's that weird Japanese thing, and we never even saw that. I would assume that was supposed to be like a season 4 deco that didn't, came out as a toy in Japan, but never saw the light of day otherwise.
Favorite toy? I mean, I don't know. I'd guess maybe Soundwave and Oil Slick.
I feel like that Jazz toy was a really good one, especially at the time.
Yeah, Jazz was pretty good. Yeah.
Magnus was good too.
I mean, there's really
Magnus
not a
was
lot
good
of
too, right.
Yeah, a lot of the toys were all pretty good though.
I mean, you know what? No, I take it back. It's that leader class Bulkhead with the Headmaster. Yeah, so the leader class Bulkhead, he could talk, and it was the actor from the show, and then you put the Headmaster on, and the voice changes to the Headmaster voice. Yeah, that was the cool one. That was the one.
I don't think anyone has mentioned Blitzwing this whole episode, but he is significant in this show, and his toy is very good, in my opinion. I think it's very, very good.
Yeah, Blitzwing. That was another one that, like, it stuck with me. So when that Generations version came out, I'm like, we got to put the 3 heads in there. And Kide was like, well, I guess we can tool up 3 heads, but we'll probably never release them. I'm like, no. You got to pull a Manny Faces, and you got to put the 3 heads on the one figure.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like, that's another one of those things that persists, and
yeah. Like, to me, like, that should continue on with Blitzwing, and if he's in another show, that he should have that triple personality.
I think there is a new Blitzwing toy coming out, right, in Legacy.
That is, yep.
Yeah, that is a leader class, because we need more Blitzwing.
Leader.
Yeah, leader.
Just like Astrotrain's a leader.
Yeah. I am hoping we get leader class Repugnus announced soon, as well as leader class Octane. And probably get a leader class Gnaw as well.
I mean,
he's actually
he's
actually the shark
every
side
side.
queen.
If they
the
want to
queen,
release
yeah,
like
lays
5
eggs.
Gnaws or something at the leader price point, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, no, the leader class Gnaw
he has
lays
2 little
eggs.
extra arms.
He's got the big long like egg sack laying thing from Aliens. And he lays little eggs.
Looks like, he's got a termite butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all drawn. That's so mean to say.
Voyager Plus?
Voyager Plus. Man, I would have loved to have seen Transformers the movie done in an animated style.
Didn't someone do like a demo of that?
They drew like 20 or 30 frames that were just like every single one was like, oh, it like was painful to see. They were so good.
Yeah, Cub had the Cygar, right? Yeah.
I
gotta find that. That's so good.
So, just real quick, I mean, we're over an hour, but is the reason that animated just gets no love currently because of the rights issues with Cartoon Network? Because Cartoon Network did the premiere thing, and they're like, hey, we've new blah blah blah, new Transformers, and then they buried it. It was on for like the first season was 6 p.m. on Fridays or whatever it was, and then they buried it at the 5 a.m. slot until it croaked. What? I hate how Cartoon Network does that. They're really hyped about the initial push, and then they're just like, whatever, let it wither.
They've done that
didn't
with
deserve
a lot of
that.
Transformers shows though too.
Yeah, but this was
I don't
like
know
their
why
Transformers show.
Yeah, I don't know why it happens I think in season 3 it happened because they knew the show was ending and they wanted the show to continue. So at that point, they're like, well, we're not going to make money off this. We'll show them once and that's it.
Boo. It deserves better.
And now it's nowhere. If you have the divots of it, that's it.
I think are the DVDs still up on Amazon for sale, or is that long gone now?
Maybe. Let's find out.
I remember buying the series on Amazon, but that was several years ago. So
I remember I got all excited when season 3 finally came out on DVD.
Still
And,
available, $27.99. Last time I purchased it was October 27th, 2017.
There you go.
Yep. See, I think I did the same thing at I don't remember what year it was, but it was something like that where it's like, oh hey, it's like that's a good show. Like I want to watch it. Like $20 on Amazon, sure thing. Of course, trying to find a DVD player these days to play it sometimes might actually be the hard thing, right?
Yeah. Let alone trying to find a VHS player.
Oof, that's hard.
VHS players are so rare, you don't even see them at like Goodwill stores anymore.
Pawn shops. Go to your local pawn chain and have them do a search for you. They'll find one.
Well, I think we've exhausted everything we can talk about animated tonight.
Well, guys, I appreciate you being on tonight to discuss that, and I appreciate everyone in the chat. I had a few new guys today, so we had Jose and Osmosis, Dark Help David, and then some of the regulars as well. So Zaldron, Peacemo was in there earlier. Man Monster Mecha was in there. Ron was in there. Illmatic Prime. Enots as well. Daniel. Is there anyone else I missed? I think I got it.
I found the stuff. I have to show you.
No
last minute changes.
No. It's time to go.
Oh, I do want to
dying.
mention Book Club. Book Club is going to be Revolution. What is it? The hell's the thing? The Revolution is over, but Cybertron faces the threat of the approaching Titans in Till All Are One, 5 and 6. Okay, so Book Club is Till All Are One, 5 and 6. Got it.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
All right.
Looks good.
Is it sharing? I don't.
It is. Yes.
It is.
It is.
Yep.
It is. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah, and then programming note: I believe next week we may not have a live show because I'll be on vacation, so I apologize for that. But we'll try and do a pre-record. If not, we may have to skip a week. So, but we should have a Microcasters on Thursday, though. I believe we're gonna do some Moon Studios riding. So. Check that out. I think we're doing a couple of those guys. So
okay.
Catherine jumped in late as well. So thanks, Catherine. And and apparently Zaldron says that you win, Paul. So there you go.
I win what?
All right, you won the internet, Paul.
Google Foo is the strongest.
You won the internet, man.
Great. So, well, it's hard to find. The animated movie crossover with Transformers animated. They are you need to do some work.
Yeah,
to
lots of porn comes up.
Yeah,
you gotta use quotation marks. Watch out, guys.
Rule 34.
Yeah.
You have to do more than the average bear.
Well, thanks, guys, and we'll see you maybe next week, or the week after.
Thank you.
See ya.